She was once just a woman trying to survive, but after years of abuse, betrayal, and humiliation, something inside her finally broke. What began as desperation soon turned into vengeance, and the world would remember her not as a victim, but as a monster. Noors lived at the very bottom of American society. Her childhood was miserable and cold. It was filled with beatings, insults, and abuse. To survive, she had to become a cheap street prostitute. Yet in her mind once bloomed every girl's dream, to become a beloved superstar, rich and beautiful, or to meet her Prince Charming. But as she grew up, dreams remained dreams. Reality drifted further away from them. Facing such repetitive days, Noors gradually lost confidence. Addicted to drugs, one rainy day she thought of ending her life. But when she raised the gun and pulled the trigger, a sudden craving for a glass of beer flashed through her mind. And that glass of beer brought a glimmer of light into her dark life. In the corner of the bar sat a delicate-looking girl. She quietly sipped her drink while observing the room. Unlike others, she always looked at women. Clearly, she was a lesbian. At that moment, her gaze fell on the woman entering from the door. Soaking wet from head to toe, Noors looked pitiful. People in the bar stared at her with judgmental eyes. Even the bartender looked disgusted, unwilling to serve the uninvited guest. Then Noors handed over her last $5 to the bartender, asking for the cheapest beer she could get. Meanwhile, Noors looked around the bar, sensing a strong atmosphere of homosexuality. Just then, the girl came over to her, offering to buy her a drink. Their first conversation went quite smoothly, but Noors didn't want to reveal she was a prostitute, for she knew human nature too well. Gradually, they began to enjoy each other's company, until the bar closed, and they were kicked out. The girl's name was Simi. To her parents, she was a disobedient child. Their strict control made her feel suffocated at home. That night, after their night out, they decided to spend the night at Simi's home. The next morning, Simi's mother caught them. She immediately recognized Noors as a prostitute. Simi clearly knew the truth too, yet she didn't judge her with prejudice. Later, Noors left Simi's house and returned to her tiny room. Barely having enough to eat was her daily reality. Soon after, they met again at roller skating rink. This time, Simi poured out her troubles to Noors. She said her family didn't accept her as a lesbian. No one could understand her lonely soul. After spending time together, their feelings quickly deepened. Leaning against the wall, they kissed passionately. Just like that, Noors, who had lost faith in life, found new hope again. But that hope didn't last long. It was soon shattered by something far worse. One evening at dusk, the sky still faintly lit, Noors stood on the roadside looking for customers. A man wearing a red and white baseball cap became her new client. He drove her to a deserted grove. As they were about to have sex, the man made excessive demands. When Noors refused, he turned violent. When she woke again, his hands were bound tightly with ropes. Noors's face was covered in blood. Under the man's perverted torture, her agonizing screams echoed through the grove. No one would come to save her. The only one who could save her was herself. Noors broke free, grabbed her gun, and fired several shots at the man. She screamed, releasing years of pent-up pain. After the killing, Noors was terrified. She drove the stolen car and brought the stolen money to Simi's window to call her. But knocking directly on the window almost got her discovered by Simi's parents. Terrified, Noors hid the truth from Simi. She lied that she only had a fight with someone and begged Simi to travel with her for a week. In the following days, they stayed in a hotel together, shopping in the day and seeking pleasure in bars at night. That kind of life made Simi happy, so she ignored her parents' objections and moved out to live with Noors. Simi's presence changed the course of Noors's life. She felt things were finally getting better, so she quit the job she hated and looked for a decent job to live honestly. She was full of hope, dreaming of a bright future. But reality was cruel. No company would hire someone with no experience or skills. And when they learned of Noors's past, their faces showed disgust. Despite repeated failures, life gave Noors no room to breathe. Even the police who once arrested her took advantage, forcing her to serve for free. Later, Noors saw on the roadside a newspaper reporting the perverted man's death. Police said they still had no clues. Noors smiled faintly and went home. She found Simi crying in the bathroom, out of despair, because when they first moved out, Noors had promised her a life free of poverty. A life of villas, parties, and travel, but every desire and dream required money. At this point, Noors had to confess to Simi that during a conflict with a client, she had no choice but to shoot him. Even though Simi knew Noors had killed, she still pushed this abandoned woman into a dead end. Nours loved her deeply, loved her enough to try everything to fulfill her every desire. So, forced by poverty, Nours returned to her old job. But when facing disgusting old men, murderous thoughts returned. After returning home, Nours took the stolen money and threw it on Simi. Watching her joy, she felt she had done something cool. At that time, Simi knew nothing. She was lost in the pleasures of a lavish life. But that fragile illusion soon shattered. Nours promised that once she had enough money, Nours hua rangkikim dutin, she would quit the job, and they would escape together. Day after day passed, until one day, Nours discovered the man she'd killed was an undercover cop. She panicked immediately. She planned one last job, to steal a car and then quit. But when Simi learned Nours failed to get the car, she was furious. Later, Nours went to a bar, planning to have a drink before finding her next target. Little did she know, the police were already searching for them everywhere. And the final target is always the most memorable. Once, she killed to take revenge on perverted men. But this last man begged for mercy, breaking Nours's heart. Because she was about to kill a good man. She knew it was wrong, but had no other choice. Because what else could she do, right? After finishing that last job, Simi told Nours everything was over. The police were now hunting them. At that moment, Nours felt her punishment was near, because she had done wrong. So she bought Simi a train ticket home. She couldn't let Simi pay for her mistakes. Before parting, she told Simi to call her no matter what. After that, Nours spent her days waiting in bars, but she never received Simi's call. Only the police came after her. It was only in detention that Nours finally got Simi's call. She realized she had been betrayed by her. Simi abandoned her, just like life did. Love had snapped the final thread, keeping her alive. On the day of the trial, just as she said on the phone, Simi claimed she knew nothing and testified against Nours in court. But even so, Nours, broken by men all her life, still chose to bear it all alone. In the film, Simi has youth and greedy desires, while Nours, in this cold society, turned into a twisted female demon. Having been used by men since childhood, she easily opened her heart to Simi's tenderness. Love came in the wrong way. It pushed an already tragic life into despair. No one could save her from the abyss. Not even the lover she trusted most, who still stepped on her when she was down. But Nours didn't hate Simi. She hated this unjust world. People always judge others through tinted glasses. When Nours stood in court for sentencing, they felt as if the whole world said, prostitutes don't deserve to live well. They don't deserve love. Her lover betrayed her, but she still thanked Simi. Because Simi was once a ray of light in her life. A person poor in both heart and money will always love humbly. In the end, justice caught up to her. Or maybe it was mercy. Nours was sentenced to death for the murders she committed. But behind every crime was a cry for help that no one ever heard. She said she only wanted to be loved, just once in her life, and the world failed to give her that. When the execution finally came, she looked calm, almost peaceful. Not because she was ready to die, but because she was finally done being hurt. Sometimes monsters aren't born, they're made by the hands of those who never cared.